So, hello Delta Pace Racing, this is Division 2, Race 6, Russia, and as we are now starting with people readying up, with me, Chris Samu 27, alongside Pistol Racing, with Peter. So, hi Peter, and welcome in.
Hey Chris, thanks once again for having me. Always enjoy doing these comms here for Delta Pace and looking forward to another great race here at Russia. So, yeah, we got, as always, an short 18-minute qualifying followed by 27 lap race here. So, we'll be shortly getting going. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it seems a very nice track when it comes to the high-speed corners and everything. But what about the track limits? That would be quite a question.
I know getting track limit penalties around here it's like France, it's so easy because it is just swooping corners, high speed, get it off slightly and bam, yeah. I think we're going to see a lot of track limit penalties and especially through Sector 2, like the very twisty section of Sector 2, it's going to be, I think that's where we're going to see the bulk of the penalties and collisions. Sectors 1 and 3, they're a lot more high pace, and I definitely think we're going to be seeing at least a couple of safety cars throughout the race. Let's see what happens, but with track limits, yeah, I think Sector 2 is going to be the big, keep it clean through Sector 2, and I think the drivers should be okay. So, but I think it will, in the end of the day, make or break who's going to win this race and who's not, who's going to end up on the podium, or potentially who loses out on valuable points for their teams. We are nearly halfway through the season now, so I'm sure all the teams wanted to make an impression. And just going to have a quick look at the constructors. Just let me know when you need to head off quickly, Chris, and we'll get that all sorted.
I think I'm gonna take this time to head off quickly. In the meantime, I'm on board with Bennett, who's on the medium tires and has just gone out with the Alpha Tauri tire, with the Alpha Tauri.
Cool. I am with him now, so I can take over that whilst you go do what you need to do. And yep, I'll see you and I'll talk to you when you get back. So,
yep. Thank you, Pete.
You're welcome. So seeing that Bennett and Bennett is going out. I presume this is going to be kind of like his banker run. He's gone out on the mediums now. Personally, oh, and we've got a disqualification in Anxious Soul being parked in a dangerous location. But yeah, like I was saying, I presume this is going to be Bennett's kind of banker lap. Oh, sorry. To then go out later once the track has warmed up a bit and get onto those softs if needed. For me, Russia is a one-stop strategy. Soft to medium is doable, very doable around here. So I'm not overly sure about utilising the medium option in qualifying, unless you also want to go for that fastest lap contention, but you put yourself at disadvantage a lot of the race, as we see Bennett now starting his flying lap, coming down through turn 1 down towards turn 2 above 200 miles an hour, and good line there for Bennett. Really hugging that inside corner as we come to the end of Sector 1. Good turn there out of turn 6, I believe it is. Let's get on board with him. These next few turns, I think, are crucial for anyone looking to make a fast lap. How you manage them without hitting the track limits, as well as hoping not to spin out. I found with this turn here, catch that inside curb and you're going to spin out, and that's also going to take you on track limits. So, and dare I say commentator's curse, I wasn't talking about that one, but that is Bennett around, and so he will be looking to go again, I'm sure. So have we got? And it's just actually sitting on board now with Nigel. I know you guys on the stream can't see this. My apologies. I am co-commentating with Chris, so he's just had to pop off for a few minutes. He will be back. So let's see what Nigel's had to do. Good line there. Through the chicane at the end of sector 2, and now sector 3. You're having to correct yourself, go really softly there through the last chicane in sector 3. I think that's going to cost him big on this lap. King's Copper 131.8, and yeah, Nigel coming in nearly a second off of his pace. I want to sit on board with CDM. No, he's just, oh well, he's invalidated, so I'm imagining he's going to go again. I think so. Who else can we keep an eye out for? Let's sit on board with our top one, tier 1 driver, comms guy, Patterson. Does a great job commentating. Unfortunately, like I said, with that chicane in sector 2, caught the outside of it, and then that caught him spinning. So whilst he hasn't invalidated, I know he's going to be now looking to save the OS and possibly going again. Great thing about this track having such good tyre wear is that you can do 2 runs on the soft tyres and it's not going to smash your tyres like some tracks, like I don't know, like Bahrain for instance. I find my tyres get absolutely smashed there. I remember I was doing a race yesterday, 50% around. I think I had to put on lap 6 because my tyres were shot. Thankfully I was able to hold out the hards for 21 laps and I managed to grab a second place, so yeah. But let's sit on board. Now I can see Faith McBart in the Aston Martin has gone provisional pole on 131 at 715. Now Patterson going for it again. Let's see what his first exit time is going to be compared to his previous go. Great line there through turn 5. And around what he did in sector 1 last time. Joshua Atkinson in 4, and again catching the curb, but he managed to save it this time, so he has lost some time. But that is definitely, is that an invalidation? Yeah. Very wide through that turn, and that will be an invalidation for Patterson. Now, who else can we sit on board with? I'm going to sit on board with Ryan Cowles about. Is going to be starting his fast lap very shortly. Ryan definitely I had a great battle with Ryan last week at Zandvoort. I think we were constantly around each other's pace and with the safety cars and how they all worked out. It was a great battle I had with Ryan, so I'm looking to see what he can produce here in Sochi. Great line there through turn 2, not taking too much. And sector 1, what are we looking at here? 33,359. That's a purple, yeah. First sector, purple first sector there for Ryan Cowles. As you can see, CDM has gone second place with a 131.78, just 65 hundredths of a second behind FaZe. Fantastic lap there by CDM, who, if I'm correct, is on the medium tyre. Let's see what Ryan's going to come over sector 2 with. I do believe I have been rejoined by Mr. Chris and Moots.
Hello guys, I'm just returned exactly.
Brilliant. So I'm on board with Ryan Cowles, who's coming around the last 2 corners, just about to set his lap. And I think, oh, that's a very close line there into the last turn, yeah. And I think that cost him provisional pole. Ryan going in second on 131.778, having gone purple in the first 2 sectors.
That's true. Wow. That's true. I mean, he lost out by just 600ths of a second out of
Yeah.
FaZe McBoth, who's currently on pole.
Yeah, I'm quite keen to see how CDM does here. He's only 0.02 of a second behind Ryan and on the medium tyres, so we'll see what he decides to do later on. But I don't know about you. For me, this race is a one-stop strategy. It's a soft to medium strategy, especially
Definitely.
when you take into consideration safety cars. It's not. You don't need to start here on the mediums. You really don't.
I would completely agree with you, Peter. Yesterday we had a Division 1 race, and this is the strategy I opted for. A soft to medium strategy. I went like soft all the way. I mean, you could easily start with the soft strategy. And there was the first safety car at, I think it was lap 4 or start of lap 5. And I instantly went to the pits and I opted the medium tires of which I continued for the rest of the race, and they held up pretty well, basically, because in Russia, I don't think it's so common, but in Russia the tire wear is so low.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, if you put it into context of normal F1 race and the drivers are able to do 25, 30, 35 laps on the soft tyres, that just shows you everything about this track. It is designed to not be too aggressive on the tyres. Obviously it can be. Every driver will find a setup that works for them for tyre press, but it's definitely one of those tracks where it's not going to screw your tyres in 5 laps, unlike, say, Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Completely agree. So definitely for this game's purposes, I think a soft to medium strategy would be the strategy of choice.
Agreed. So I can see now CDM has come out onto the soft tyres to do a lap. It's going to be interesting to see. I think we are going to see a benchmark set here. So I'm going to sit on board with CDM and see. He's about to come out to start his flying lap.
Perfect.
So
I'm currently on board with Andre, who's currently doing the fast lap, and he's coming to the last 2 turns of the lap.
Okay.
Currently he seems to be doing fine, and he believes that he's very fast in Russia as well. So let's see what time is it.
That's not going to be fast. He's 8th.
That's 8, 1:32.2. All right.
King's Cockpit going first.
We can note that the first 4 drivers are only separated by 0.08 of a second, so it's currently very close, unless CDM decides to pull off a stonking lap with the soft tires.
Exactly, and I don't see any reason as to why he won't. Let's see where he's going to be at sector 1. He's currently a 10th up, so that is already enough. He's just got to now keep it together.
Yeah.
And this should be his to lose. But like I said, I think we're going to see a benchmark set here. So
I would completely agree. I would completely agree with this. And the sequence of corners, these sequence of corners are very decisive, especially when you're using the soft tires.
Oh, he's gone!
Oh, he spun! Oh, I think we're starting to give the curse a spade.
Oh, I've already given it. I gave it to, I think it was Ryan Cal. I think I gave it to Ryan and Patty. I was talking about the same corners around sector 2, and bam, yep, they both lost it there. So I think we're gonna. I reckon, like I said, sector 2 is about hooking it up. Nigel, 1:31.5. Wow, that's a good lap there by Nigel.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. I think my best lap was 1:31.28. It was somewhere on those lines. So putting a 1:31.5 is quite a lap. I think it would be quite a Division 1 level kind of lap.
But then saying that, I mean, Nigel, if I remember correctly, is our championship leader, isn't he? With Swoosh having now gone up to Tier 1. Or
Yes,
Division 1.
yes, agreed.
Nigel is now our record, so.
Agreed, yep. Because Swoosh Strider was promoted to Division 1, and hence, of course, Nigel would be the next in line guy for the championship. I would believe that he would surpass eventually Swoosh Strider's points.
Oh, easily. I mean, after 4 rounds, I think it was 4 rounds that Swoosh did, because
exactly.
Yeah, it was 4 rounds. Yeah, he debuted in Division 1 last week, didn't he? So yeah, I doubt. I mean, Swoosh will be in the top 5 without a doubt on the points that he did gain in those 4 rounds, winning all 4 races. But it was Yeah, he's definitely. I think the likes of Nigel. Who else? I'm just trying to look down the list. Ryan Cal, even Unicorn Power and Lewis. I think they're all going to surpass the points that.
I would completely agree with that. I would completely agree with, and I think we can't underestimate King's Copper as well. King's Copper has a very good quali pace. Maybe he needs a little bit more consistency because he tends to make some mistakes during the race, but he's very fast. I would easily recommend the guy for Division 1, but of course only for his consistency is because why he's Division 2 and not Division 1. And I would also recommend Chappie Cho. Chappie Cho is also a very consistent guy overall. Maybe not the fastest quali pace, but when it comes to the race pace, I would definitely recommend the guy.
I think me and Chappie, we've had some really good battles over. I think I've been associated with Delta Pace for about 8-9 months now, and we've had some really good battles. Me and Chappie, he's a driver. I think we've got very similar driving styles, and we've got very similar pace as well. And that's gone from 2020 to 2021 game. And yeah, he's a very good driver, and on his day, very capable of winning any race in Tier 2. I think he's just been a bit unfortunate with collisions. So, but he, like I said, very good driver. I always enjoy racing Chappie. So yeah.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. Chappie is that kind of guy that you would want in a league. I mean, he's a very clean driver and he knows the details of the game as well. In a way that he's like an asset for any league. That's how I see him.
I think, not sounding big headed, I think anyone that has in the past or currently does run a league understands league racing. I think you have to, because if you run a league and you are a complete kamikaze driver, it doesn't work. How can you give, you have that appreciation for quality driving? And that's why ultimately you take that incentive, because you want to set up a race that's going to be quality.
Exactly.
You can't do that if you don't race well, because people won't race with you. So I think anyone, and obviously Chappie has his own league, you do, I did, we've all had that experience of running a league, and I think with that comes the appreciation when, as you know as well, you spend an hour and a half, 2 hours of your free time truly cruising the field, and you're just like, how is that possible? But so it's like you get that appreciation for good racing, and you get to see other people's mistakes and learn from them as well. Like, you look at how people are driving and you're just like,
yeah,
really? So yeah.
And I'm into that, Pete. It's so true, so true.
So we've got we've got a minute left of quali already, and CDM is out on a fast lap.
Yeah, I'm currently on board with him.
Okay.
I'm currently on board with him.
Through sector 1 though. He was 10th down, so let's hope. I'm not sure about that line there through that turn, but good move by King Prophet to get out the way for the Haas driver. Obviously my favourite team on this game, so anything could put me in, anything with the Ferrari engine, and I'm happy. But yeah, I think for Haas, it's Haas for me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't like him in real life, but I like him in the game.
That's true. For me, anything that has the Ferrari sound, for me, it's my favorite thing for the game.
It's like I've been racing in the Red Bulls. It doesn't have a sound. It's just so low. It's like you don't hear it. But sitting on board right now with CDM, and I can hear the screams, the roars of the Ferrari over the Honda engine. It's just, you can't compare it for me. What's CDM gonna do? Wow.
Oh, 131.3. That's very close to top stuff for Division 1 driver, I would say. Yeah. I would repeat that my lap was 131.28. So, and I came third in Division 1. So
in qualifying.
Yeah, in qualifying.
Wow. So, I'm now on board with Nigel. Nigel's going to want to try and get that pole position back from his teammate. The Haas driver's looking to pick up a good amount of points here, though.
So it seems.
Your ice is open. Down the final straight sector 2, and he's going to have to pull out a miraculous move to. Yeah. He's got to gain 0.4 of a second in this last sector. It's possible, but CDM had such a great line after this chicane. And I think that's it now.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think he's gonna back out. In the
So
meantime,
where's
I'm currently on board with Ryan Kai, who's currently 2 tenths down from his best lap. So I would assume that he would need to get a very good sequence of corners.
He's actually invalidated.
Oh.
As has Andre. Bennett is on a fast lap, in the sense of an active lap.
And he has improved slightly.
Yeah, but doesn't improve position. Reece Ross is currently 2 tenths up on his fastest time now, and on the mediums as well. So, doing a good lap here. Let's see, can he pip his teammate in the AlphaTauri?
Yeah, we will need to wait and see. Kindly recall that Reece Ross is a currently Division 3 driver, so he's currently reserving for this race.
Okay. And he does improve, but not enough to take the position from Bennett. But still, he's got past some. He's improved on his time. He's only 1.5 seconds off of CDM, who is, let's face it, Division 1 pace. Like you said, you were only 300 per second, and Reece is only 1.5 seconds, and on the medium tyres. So I reckon if he'd stuck on a pair of softs there, he'd be up towards Andre, because I think the delta difference is about 6 tenths of a second over the delta between the 2 tyres. So that was a very good lap by Reece, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in the race.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. And here we have it, the qualifying, where CDM comes first with 131.3 alongside his current teammate on the day, Nigel C7 in P2. Then there's King's Copper at P3 with a 131.7, followed by FaZe McBot in 4th place. Then there's Ryan Kai in 5th place, along with Chappie Cho, Lewis, Patty Pat, who's currently driving with no assist except for the racing line. I think he has informed us that, and he's our current Division 1 streamer, so I would recommend to give the guy a subscribe in his Twitch account as well. Then there's WFI Unicorn Power and Josh Waxelson, who can complete the P9 and P10. And in the meantime, I believe I'm gonna write a small message to CDM that he has Division 1 pace.
Yeah, he does. I told him this already, but he... Oh, hi! We got rain!
Oh!
We have got the rain!
Now that's gonna be...
It's raining at Sochi!
That's gonna be quite an interesting thing. We have mentioned track limits and penalties and such invalidations. Let's see how this fares with the rain, because it's going to be interesting.
This is going to be chaos into turn 2. It is going to be chaos. This is going to be about getting... It kind of reminds me of the James Hunt Niki Lauda situation at Suzuka in 76. It's like, you're going to want to get out front, and you're going to want to be out front. You're not going to want to be behind anyone. It's going to be about that going into the first corner, because otherwise you're going to have so much coming up. But interestingly enough, they're all on their dry tyres, so maybe it's not being deemed hard enough for. And
I think if the game just decides that the track is not wet enough, you need to start with the quali tyres.
No, I think you can swap. You can't swap from like soft to medium, but you can swap from soft to inters if you decide to make that judgment call. I'll have to check that, but I think you can.
All right.
So I will check that for next week. But I think you can. I'll double check that. But this is still going to make it interesting, because there's going to be a lot less grip on the track. We're going to see a lot more sliding, and when these guys are coming towards turn 2 at 200 miles an hour in a ERS train, they are going to be. I think there will be some collisions coming into turn 2. I think it's going to be unavoidable with the slightest bit of rain. Like, I was in a league race last Monday, and it had just started raining, and we were still out on soft tyres, and this was during quali, and I could not see drivers in my rear view mirror. and it really does affect your ability, like, to judge where are you going to position your car if you can't see behind you, even with the slightest bit of rain. So I hope there isn't, but it's kind of like you just know. There are some tracks you just know there's going to be an incident, and Russia lap 1 turn 2 is one of them.
Yeah, I will completely agree. And if the DRS is open as well, I think that we would see some cars making some forced errors as well, because these high-speed corners along with the DRS, it's not really the best combination, especially when it comes to the rain, you know, when there's rain on track.
Yeah. If you don't, like, for me, I don't like using DRS when the track isn't dry. I mean, it's like, because you're reducing how much drag there is, which is, drag plays a big part in downforce.
Yeah.
So if you don't have it, and a lot of drivers forget, like, there's a very easy way to just eliminate the DRS before you get to the turn, and that is by pressing the triangle button on the controller, or I'm sure I don't know how to do it on a wheel because I've never used one, but it's very easy to do. But when you're coming so close towards a car because you've got DRS on them, you just forget to do that. And if you try and go into, say, turn 2, or that, especially that second DRS zone, in sector 2, sector 3, and you've not got your front wing closed, and there's a little bit of rain on the track, that's not ending well in my eyes. It is not ending well. So let's see if they're on soft. I'm imagining this is going to clear up pretty soon. Who are you sitting on board with for the start?
Apologies, Pete. I didn't get the question. In the meantime,
I said, who are you sitting on board with for the start?
I'm currently sitting on board with CDM.
Cool. I'm going to sit on board with his teammate Nigel.
So we have the 5 lights.
We got a drive-through penalty
away
as
we
well.
go. Let's see how this is gonna fare.
Jimenez has got a drive-through penalty already. Now that's a great start there by King's Copper, who's on the outside of CDM. CDM is going to have to go defensive here.
Ooh, we have already some collisions, and that's quite...
Oh, I'm surprised how King's Copper did not end up in the wall there. CDM literally leaving him that just a car's width there between himself and the call. Now we've got a VSC.
Yeah. I think nobody has retired yet, but definitely a lot of drivers have wing damage. A lot of drivers.
Especially F1 Immortal, he's already losing pace to the rest of the drivers. I can see there's an Alpha Tauri as well. Bennett has no front wing whatsoever. FaZe must have damage because he started in 4th. He's down 12 positions. FaZe has no front wing either. Anxious Soul is fine. Immortal does have a front. F1 Immortal does have a front wing, and we are back to racing. Now, Chappie Cho does not have a front wing. There's no way he's got a front wing if he's really sure. Oh no, he has, but he has not got an end plate on the left-hand side. So Chappie Cho, FaZe McBart, Bennett are all going to be pitting. Tommy seems okay. Reese Ross up to 12th. Josh Axelson is doing fine. Purgy is up to 10th. Great there by Purgy. Now we've got a penalty for Wi-Fi Unicorn. Jimenez has got a drive-through penalty for jump starting the start. And that was quite early. I'm guessing he just took his finger off the throttle. But TDM in front. And already with a 8/10 gap over King's Copper. And then 2.5 seconds up on his teammate. Wi-Fi Unicorn Power dropping down the rankings. And Ryan Cow pits. Ryan must have damage as well as Unicorn.
Probably. I'm gonna go directly to the guys who are pitting to see whether they're going to go to inters or otherwise. But I believe that they were gonna go on the medium tires. So I think the track will eventually improve.
Oh, yeah, it will. It's not. A race doesn't generally start in this game if it's this wet.
Except for I'm seeing a couple who went on to the intermediates.
There's an Aston Martin who's
FaZe
around.
McBot, F1 Immortal, and WFI Unicorn Power are all on the intermediates. Oh, this is interesting. I mean, we don't know what's gonna happen, eh?
One driver who's creeping his way up through, Patterson. He's up to 4th from 8th, start position of 8th. Jiggle Fingers is up from 12th to 6th. But our biggest gains on drivers is Anxious Soul, who's up 10 places from 19th to 9th. This is incredible from the Red Bull driver. Really taking it easy. I think it's worse. I think it's the worst in Sector 2. Obviously, we've got those turns that are very slidey, and you're taking out traction because of the rain. Drivers looking like they're really struggling through that section. But it will be interesting to see. I think you're going to see the Inters. Just watching Josh, Unicorn Power, sorry. He had a lot more traction there coming through the left-hander, but again, it reminds me of the situation we had in '76 at the Nordschleife. Some part of the tracks are going to be dry, some part of the tracks are going to be wet, and on a short track like this, you have to assess it. I think there is time to be gained in Sector 2, but ultimately, I don't think these Inters are going to play out. And as we've just seen, DRS is enabled. That for me is the go-to. When it gets disabled, that's the time to go onto it. And so I think these drivers have made a bad choice, kind of like Vettel did over the weekend, switching to the mediums, and I think they're going to pay the price for it.
Yeah.
So, and I'm surprised Unicorn Power stays out. Anxious Soul is in the pits. Interestingly enough, also going on to the intermediates. Oh, he's got front wing damage, so okay, I can understand why he's pitting.
In the meantime,
Patty's in the pit.
In the meantime, WFI Unicorn Power is gaining places again. So
he has had several drivers pit, but Jimenez on the mediums just seeming to have more grip there and getting through past Unicorn Power. Now we know Unicorn Power from his experiences. He is a top 4 tier Division 2 driver. Jimenez is a new recruit to Division 3, but Unicorn can't get past Jimenez, which should be, if these tyres were working as they should do, should not be an issue. Plus, let's also point out, I mean, yeah, Jimenez is having to take it very easy, but I don't see the validity in right now being on those Inters. They are not providing an advantage, and I think once the track dries up, they're going to heat up very quickly.
Yeah, so I think I would start to agree with this, because it seems the case. Ryan Kai is literally creeping up behind the WFI Unicorn Power, and it's gonna be quite interesting. In fact, Ryan Kai literally flies by the side of WFI Unicorn Power.
Trying to have a look at Chappie Cho's car, because him and Bennett have had a big collision. I'm guessing Bennett has spun, but Chappie Cho, I'm hoping, does not have any damage to his rear wing or sideboards. He's really struggling through those turns at the end of Sector 2, start of Sector 3, just after the DRS straight. Not used. I can't figure out if he's got damage. I think he's not got an end plate. And yep, he is heading into the pits for the second time in 4 laps. This is disastrous for Chappie Cho. Me personally, I'm switching to the hard tier and I'm hoping I can go all the way.
Yeah,
he's got to have a situation now.
The one thing about the hard tires here is they're just not sustainable. They're just not sustainable because the medium tires can last all race, and I can prove that. Yesterday I proved that they can last almost all race. I pitted at the end of lap 4 and I finished with the mediums, and they were not beyond the 60% wear.
Wow. And
King's Copper in the meantime makes the overtake in to CDM. Yeah. And I was just on board with King's Copper. I just was so concentrated listening to you talking, and I have missed the overtake. I just didn't announce it earlier.
You're welcome to interrupt me. If you're ever on board with a good battle, please feel free to interrupt me. I do ramble a bit. But yeah, we're seeing CDM really struggling here to keep up with King's Copper.
Yeah. And I think the track is slowly drying up. I mean, it's only dripping very slowly. In a way that the track is not really impacted.
I think when you, like Andre has just set the fastest lap on the mediums, the track is drying up. Otherwise, I don't think he'd have had the pace there to match King's Copper and CDM, who are on the soft. So the track is drying up, and I think we are going to start to see track times falling. But was that a 141? 144 with still 15 seconds off of what I would class premium pace here at Russia, or maybe 10 seconds, but still, we've still got a lot of drying up to do. And there is a yellow flag in sector 2. It looks like one of the AlphaTauri has spun out in Bennett.
Yeah.
Bennett having a disastrous race, already overlapped on lap 5 by the front runners.
In the meantime, CDM is still following King's Copper and he's closing in. And I can note that King's Copper, I think, let me check King's Copper, they both have enough ERS to defend or attack, so I think they're still preserving ERS just to make that opportunity worthwhile, you know. I think the King's Copper is just using just a little bit of ERS just to defend. At the same time, CDM is just using just a little bit ERS to keep up with King's Copper and keep on his DRS range.
I think in this game, like, that was the thing I kind of have got now used to in this game, and I think why I'm doing so much better is that ERS is not as generously available as it was on the previous game. Let's hope Unicorn Wi-Fi Power moves up away here.
Yeah, Unicorn Power is currently being lapped. So
yeah, he's just pitted onto another set of mediums. He was already on medium, so I'm presuming he's taking damage somewhere. On that
potentially.
Lap. So that, I think, is actually his 3rd pit stop in 6 laps.
I can try to confirm that. I can try to confirm that quickly.
As I was saying, in this game where ERS is not so easy recoverable, like I remember there were corners on the last game you could gain 10% ERS just by heavily braking into a hard turn. Here you're lucky to get that sort of recovery on some laps at tracks like Interlagos and China. You really have to be careful with your deployment. So like for me, when I'm using it, it's to get a little bit of momentum out the corners, like CDM's doing right now, but I'm well off of it by now. Yeah, using it like that, and when you do think you've got that opportunity to overtake. Other than that, I'm using it to defend in DRS straight. Like if I'm in King's Copper's position, like I'm only using DRS to then defend in the DRS straight, in the ERS. Sorry, I'm only using ERS to defend in the DRS straights. So I think you do have to be a lot more sensible with your deployment in this game, and that's bringing out lots of different driving styles.
Yeah. Seems the case, and currently I'm just noticing people who are putting fastest laps in the medium tires, including Chepicho and Face McBot, who currently already did 2 stops.
Yeah. To be fair, they are all fresh mediums and they don't have traffic, so they've not got the dirty air, which will be affecting them. The track is drying up, so that doesn't surprise me, and I do think right now, I mean, I think these softs are going to be at about 20% wear, so they're going to be getting worn, and we might be getting close to a crossover point. But and you look at CDM, he's compared to his last lap, he's 2.5 seconds up on his fastest first sector. That is insane. The track has now dried up completely, I think, and we're going to see these times plummeting, and several different fastest stats coming over in the next minute or two. So
seems the case. I think the crossover would lie between lap 8 and lap 13. Beyond lap 13, I think it would be pretty much dead soft tires, and it would be very wise to go for medium tires. I think lap 11.
Lap 11.
Yeah,
lap 11.
I would completely agree with that. I was gonna mention the lap 11. I think lap 11 would be the perfect lap.
I think 17 laps on the mediums will see a bit of a disadvantage, but saying that, drivers like F1 Immortal are going to be doing 20 laps on the mediums, which is not going to look good. Now CDM does a 1:39.0, but not a fastest lap, so I'm going to have a quick look at the fastest lap. We are currently 1:38.3 by Anxious Soul. That is an amazing lap by the Red Bull driver.
Ooh, yeah. In the meantime, CDM has really close with King's Copper, and Although he didn't make the overtake, he's like very, very close. Oh, and
He's lost it.
Oh no!
How he missed that? That was wow.
I'm just putting the curses, I think.
What? No, I mean, how he saved that, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Interesting to note, Wi-Fi Unicorn Power kept up with these two guys for that lap.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, WFI Unicorn Power is one of the fastest Division 2 drivers, so I would expect that he keeps up.
So,
I would presume that
really
WFI Unicorn Power, I would only assume that he's trying to unlap himself and really, really pray for a safety car.
Of course. If he gets any good for it, yeah.
And he does it, yeah.
It obviously has no reason to try and battle this.
Yeah.
He can now utilise that advantage of oh wow, I'm seeing a really good battle here for fourth between Reese Ross, Jigglefingers and Nigel C7. I think Nigel's had a bit of a mistake.
Yeah.
Andre is now up to third, and wow, that is Jigglefingers in fourth. But Reese Ross, I did say I wanted to keep an eye out for Reese Ross as well, didn't I? And he's up to fourth on these mediums. He does still need to bear, but I mean, this is fantastic driving by the Division 3 driver.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. Despite he's a Division 3 driver. I would completely agree with that. I would believe that Nigel has made a mistake somewhere during the lap because he was P3 and Andre was just behind.
He was comfortably in P3, so there must have been a mistake. Maybe he spun it in Sector 2. Well, he must have spun it in Sector 2.
And in the meantime, Jigglefingers is overtaking Reese Ross as we speak as well. And
easy DRS move, isn't it?
Easy DRS maneuver there, and we can now see the McLarens in P3 and P4. Both with the medium tires.
Nice
so they're sitting in a very nice position there.
But both need to pit. Jigglefingers one's wide and Reese Ross is now right on his rear wing. But now he does hold the position there.
Ooh,
and
it's going to be
again, I
very
think
close.
Jigglefingers is struggling. I think Jigglefingers is starting to struggle on these mediums.
I think the sequence of corners that Reese Ross is taking is optimal, really optimal. I think he's maximizing out of his car, literally. And
I must admit, when you were saying that, I couldn't help but think we were about to commentate his cursing.
Yeah, for a moment I saw Reese Ross wiggling when I was praising him. So let's see, Reese Ross is gaining on Jigglefingers, and
Wi-Fi
he backs out.
Unicorn Power has been given a 5-second penalty for ignoring blue flags. So that's interesting. He couldn't pull away fast enough from King's Copper, and he's been given a 5-second penalty for it.
Yeah.
But he's got some decent distance there. It's not like King's Copper doesn't even have DRS right now, so there's over a second. And me personally, I think that's, if that was me and I've just been given that penalty, I would be appealing that, because King's Copper doesn't even have DRS, so why should he have to move aside for a driver that's over a second behind him? He shouldn't.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. Probably he would report that penalty removal because I think he was sufficiently away. I would think that as a steward, I think he would get the penalty removed if he managed to really get the distance.
I mean, the thing is, I'm looking at their lap times now. Last lap, Unicorn Power posted 1:35.3 compared to King's Copper 1:35.8. So he gained half a second on King's Copper last lap. That's not.
Yeah, and Trying Kaiko was the fastest lap with 1:34.6, which is quite a lap. I think my fastest lap for this race was 1:35.5, but you can recall that I went very long with the mediums. But still, it's quite a lap. And as we speak, King's Copper just dives in the pit to make his mandatory stop. In the meantime, CDM retains his first place by going another lap with the soft tires. So let's see whether King's Copper makes the undercut work. In the meantime, WFI Unicorn Power is still lapping in P18 and right in front of CDM.
I'm going to be right back, Chris. I just need to take a quick break. Okay, mate?
Yeah, sure, Pete, sure. So currently on board with CDM, we just need to see whether CDM picks this lap, and we also need to try to analyze whether King's Copper manages to make a good undercut out of CDM. I think this is gonna be interesting. This is at the lap where the tires really cross over between the softs and medium tires. So this is quite an interesting to see whether King's Copper manages to do the undercut or whether CDM manages to do an overcut. Also currently on board with King's Copper, who I believe he's doing his best because he has really depleted his ERS. I think he's trying to do his best to extend his lead and because of the undercuts, of course. In the meantime, CDM goes into the pits, and I would expect that Nigel would do the same. Rightly so, yeah. So both Haas drivers have just pitted at the end of lap 11. In the meantime, CDM has changed into the medium tires. He's currently out with the medium tires, and King's Copper has just passed through. So basically it was a good undercut out of King's Copper, and is now in P3 with the front drivers Reece Ross and Andre still on the medium tires, still have to make that mandatory pit stop, but you can note the difference of 3.5 seconds between King's Copper, who is a provisional P1 driver, and CDM provisional P2 driver at the moment with 3.5 seconds. I think before the pit stop that was around it was around 1 second or 1.5 seconds, so that was an undercut
between CDM and Lewis.
Oh!
Yeah, they collided out of turns, I think it was turn 7. I don't think there was anything untoward there, but Lewis has now spun around, costing him the place to CDM, as I now see Purgy moving out the way for CDM, who was lapping him. But yeah, I think Lewis had also picked up wing damage beforehand. Coming out of the end of sector 1, he took a bit of the barrier, and I think I saw a bit of his end plate run off anyway. So it's one of those things that just happens. Let's see. I think we will be seeing him pair. Nope. Okay, cool. Yeah. So he's going to crack on. He's now got 9 seconds to catch up to CDM, who is 3.5 behind King's Copper. Now, will he be able to gain that time? I'm looking forward to seeing it, but he is completely out of ERS, it's worth noting. King's Copper doesn't have much, but CDM is the one with time to gain.
Yeah, they both have utilized their ERS. I would believe that one of them was because of his in-lap, and one of them was due to his out-lap. I think they wanted to make the undercut / overcut work, and I think King's Copper came out the winner of the undercut here, because he has just extended his lead by another 2 seconds overall before and after the pits.
I think unfortunately CDM did choose the wrong lap to go in for the pit stop. I think going a lap earlier would have probably done residents. Obviously they've set their laps on these soft tyres, and so you've done 11 laps, surprisingly with no safety cars. So you've done 11 laps, basically full BAM, and you've done 3 laps in quality. That's 14 laps. It's a 27 lap race, so they're going to run these mediums with 16 laps. May have been worth coming in definitely lap 11, if not lap 10 or 9, because of the wear.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that.
I would have expected there to have been a safety car by now, and there hasn't been, which is fantastic. That's exactly the sort of race you want to see.
We only hope that we don't curse this. This safety car thing. And in the meantime, I have noticed that Purgy has gone on the hard tires. I think he was on the medium tires when he started.
He was, yes. Let's have a look.
That's
yeah,
interesting.
Purgy did start on the... Everyone besides Anxious Soul started on the mediums outside of the top 10, but Purgy had pitted onto his second set of mediums, so I think that's either an error, i.e. he wanted to change onto the softs, or he pitted early. So now maybe he's not confident on softs, and if he's not, the only option he's got left are very warm mediums or hards. Obviously he's going to go hard there, so maybe he's just not confident on the mediums.
So it seems. Let's see how this fares. But I would believe that the hard tires at this point would be a bad choice.
Worth noting, CDM has now gained another 3 seconds over Lewis. I'm looking at Lewis's car to see if I can see any damage.
Yeah, I think he does. I think he does have some front end wing end plate damage. I would believe that he has, because either that or he spun somewhere and we didn't notice.
I think it's going to be. I think maybe he's run wide, because the spin typically costs you what, like 10 seconds. Yeah. CDM is on it now, like he is closing the gap. He's safe past that. He's within 2 seconds as well of King's Copper now. So
yeah, and King's Copper is currently trying to make the overtake over Reese Ross, who has managed to do that very safely.
So what sort of lap are you thinking if you're on the mediums here and you need to pit? What lap are you pitting on?
I would believe that I would pit on lap 16 or 17. I think the ideal lap range would be that. Lap 16 would be the most ideal one, because you will get fresh softs. I think that these drivers do have a fresh softs at hand. So, and you need to also consider that you will have less fuel at the end of the race, so the tires would last more.
Agreed. So I've just done a quick flick through of the top drivers in the top 10. 3 drivers are going to need to fuel save, and one of them is King's Copper. He's under fueled, so he's going to have to start to fuel save because he's got the yellow warning sign on. So does Reese Ross, as well as Patterson. I think they were all anticipating safety cars, and I think normally that's a fair assumption with any league race. It doesn't matter whether you've got 10 drivers on the grid or 20. I mean, to see 19 drivers around Sochi and not a single and not see sorry, I just got a bit stunned there, and not see a single safety car in the first 16 laps is fantastic. I was a bit stunned there because Reese Ross, it looked like he literally moved out the way for CDM. Like,
yeah, so
I know there are different strategies, but that's not his teammate, and he's now screaming up behind him, not making a move. But where Reese Ross was moved to the side and just slowed down, I had to check if I was watching Reese Ross or Bennett, because obviously Bennett's in 20th and has been overlapped. And then, no, I was like, that was a bit weird.
Yeah.
That's why
I think Reese Ross is playing the safe. Oh, in the meantime, Patty Pat has just retired.
He has. So, is it going to bring out a safety car?
Yeah,
I don't think so. It's not going to bring out a safety car. It's out of. Has he retired on the pits?
I'm not too sure. I haven't gone on board.
It was the pit straight. It's either he's spun out the last turn and lost his wheel, or he's been going into the pits and lost it. The only reason he'd been going into pits, he had stopped already, so he didn't need to take another pit stop possibly. But yeah, he's out of 8th.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I'm on board with Tommy Keesey, and he's just run very wide through the end of sector 1. Joshua Atkinson picking up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
I'm also noting, Pete, that CDM has gained substantially over King's Copper, which I would assume that King's Copper is really trying to save fuel at the moment. In fact, CDM is trying to make the attack for turn 1. He's not yet really close enough.
Why? He revved up his engine there. He didn't move up into gear 8. Can't figure out why he didn't do that. Did he not want to make the move there? Because he was ERS and DRS open, but he didn't release gear 8 to get that full throttle.
Yeah.
So he was at 14,000 revs there, which obviously these V6 engines are not capable of. So got to be careful with how he deploys, if he chooses to or not to. But if he, at the end of the day, if you're going to be using manual gears, you've got to remember to shift. He's just cost himself decent time there, and now he's in the dirty air of King's Cockpit, who soon is going to have DRS capabilities. I reckon within the sector he will be within DRS of Andre if Andre doesn't pit.
Yeah, but CDM I think is trying to make the lunge now. Let's see. He's still not close enough, but very close.
He tried to go for the undercut, but King's Cockpit turned it off, so that's some good racing there by the two guys. So you've got 10 laps to go, Chris.
Yeah, and Andre, I think he's gonna make the pit.
I'm glad to see Andre doing so well, in the sense of he started out in the top 10. He's made these mediums last 17 laps, fantastic. And I think he's going to come out in 4th or 5th. He's going to come around about Nigel.
Yeah,
obviously
seems the case.
Will know. You get that notification, don't you? So he will know if we see CDM go to the outside with DRS.
And he makes the overtake very safely, yeah? It's very safe overtake, and he retakes the lead.
Now, all Jiggle Fingers up to 3rd. So Jiggle is now... We've still got McLaren 3-4. Now, McLaren are my favourite team, so I'm really happy to see that. I hope the two drivers can continue that. And as I said, it is going to be touch and go between Andre and Nigel. But Andre is going to have these substantially faster tyres, fresher tyres.
100%. I think Andre has made a very, very good call when it comes to the pits. He came out just right behind Nigel, and that would mean that he would have DRS.
Between the McLaren, Mercedes, and Tommy TC is into the pits.
Yeah.
There must be an incident now. Sorry to interrupt you, what were you saying?
That's alright, Pete. I think what I was saying was that Andre has just come out at the right place at the right time, because he would need to get that little bit of DRS, to be fair, unless he loses out. He's 1.01 seconds, so I think he would lose out of the DRS, but he's in a very good position. He's in a very good position.
Here, mate. Worth noting that right now, Nigel, who's a second ahead of him, has 3 seconds of penalties, and Jiggle Fingers in 3rd has 6. Andre is 5.4 seconds behind Jiggle Fingers, so he's on the fresher tyres, he's on the faster tyres. I'm not going to put a commentator's curse in here, but Andre's on for a podium right now, and he's not going to get 1st or 2nd unless there's a huge calamity or a safety car, but right now he's on for 3rd in my eyes, and it's going to be a big effort from Jiggle Fingers and Nigel to keep him at bay.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. I still have a question though. I think Jiggle Fingers started with the medium tires as well. I'm not too sure though.
Let me check.
Yeah, because he's on 7-lap old medium tires, and I think that he started with the medium tires.
He still needs to pit. You are correct, he did medium.
I think he needs to make that mandatory pit stop in order to make the soft tire.
To meet the tyre spec, Cab. He's
so
got to do it again, so that is going to plummet him. Why he's not done that yet, I don't know. But he needs to get that done.
I think he put it very early. I think he put it very early. And I think he didn't take the... He didn't take the risk.
He did it on lap 12.
Yeah.
He did it on lap 12. If that was me, I'm making the switch to hard.
Yeah.
If you've done medium, maybe he thought medium, and then hopefully I'll be a safety car, and then he can just get in and whack on a pair of softs. But it's not playing out like that. And with 8 laps to go, he needs to get on those softs, and he needs to do it now, because he will start losing time to the likes of Reece Ross, to Andre. Well, he's going to lose position to them, without a doubt. But he's got some very fast drivers in 7th and 8th in Ryan Cow and Lewis. Lewis being on the soft tyre, he needs to get in and pit as soon as possible, or potentially he's going to be risking losing.
In the meantime,
there's a Ferrari in the wall. There's a Ferrari in the wall. Joshua Axelson is retired, and as I fucking say, live and breathe. This is Jiggle Fingers.
And Jiggle Fingers has just pitted. He has just pitted, so it's perfect timing for him.
Timing. But are we still under Delta? We are still going to be under Delta. So anything in the next 2 laps, we're going to see an array of pit stops now, I think. Now, interestingly enough, CDM has picked up his first penalty as well.
And they're still on the medium tires. CDM and King's Copper are still on the medium tires.
He's got a big decision to make here.
Yeah.
for me, CDM has got, because there's nothing I love more than having to be behind the safety car controlling the restart. You could easily gain a second like that, but he's got that penalty. He's going to have faster drivers on fresh softs right behind him. Andre here, right now, Andre's.
I think he's.
Let's say
he
Andre,
could be a race winner. He could be a race winner. He's still on 1 lap old soft tires, so.
All I can say is thank you, Joshua Axelson. You've just made this a very interesting race.
Yeah. So it seems, and Josh Axelson, I think he was still at the back, but he was on only 1 lap soft tires. So.
He's lost it through the last time. And he's paid for it. So he ended up in the wall, and not much you can do with that.
I think we would need to see what King's Copper and CDM will do. CDM has just pitted, and so did King's Copper. Yeah.
So they're coming out 1-2, and CDM is going to need to move through his life.
Yeah. In the meantime, Andre is 24.6 seconds away.
He will not catch up. He will not catch up. A pit stop under the safety car will cost you about 15 seconds. As we can see, the Aston Martins double stacking.
Recall that as soon as they cross the finish line, they would need to pick up the speed for a moment. So we will need to see.
Who? CDM and King's Copper.
Yeah. CDM has just gone out. Yeah.
Yeah. They're gonna. All of the drivers are on a delta, so they're not. Thankfully, their pit stop, instead of being say 25 seconds, is going to be 15 seconds. Oh, I thought CDM was going to end up in the back of the safety car there. I was on board with him and he was speeding towards the safety car, but yeah, he managed to avoid. Now he does have that 3-second penalty.
Yeah, in the meantime, Andre just managed to catch up King's Copper, but didn't overtake him. I think he was only a second away, so that was how close he was.
Yes. The King's Copper had a very slow pit stop. I'm not sure why. Maybe he had wing damage and only slight wing damage, but wing damage, and you've got away with it. Now, FaZe McBot is being able to unlap himself, which is I'm actually very glad to see. I think no, he can't. He can't unlap himself.
Yeah.
Now that's one thing I don't like about this game is that on 2020 you could.
You could, yeah.
So that's one thing I don't like about this game. And
I think
it does
it would
make you think why FaZe McBot shouldn't have pitted. He should not have pitted because he's essentially given his race up. His teammate, his teammate is behind him. But you've got a lot of cars here whose races are as good as done because of where they're positioned and how they're positioned. If I was in that position, like when I see a safety car and I know you potentially got 2 laps, I'm looking at the delta, I'm like, okay, let's see. If I've got to lose 15 seconds, that's why I have full track map on. I have that on, and then I can see where the lead drivers are and take it from there. If I don't want to pit, I mean, if he hadn't have pitted, I think right now, well, I'm looking at Wi-Fi Unicorn Power. He's in 12th, and he is able to now catch up. So, FaZe by pitting has lost his chance of competing for points.
Yeah. He still has a long way to go, or however, WFI Unicorn Power. But I think if the safety car goes for another lap, he will catch up.
He'll catch up without a problem.
Unless he decides to pit again for softer tires.
He's on soft tires. 0 fresh soft tires he's on. So, Unicorn Power, they're all going to catch up. Like the lead cars are on the home straight. And he is coming around the start of sector 3. He's at full power. As long as he doesn't mess up, him and Chappie are going to catch up. This is going to lead to a very interesting last few laps. And whilst we've got a moment, let's take a look at the penalty situation. I think it's unfortunate for Lewis and FaZe. FaZe has got 8 seconds of penalties. If I'm FaZe right here, and Purgy actually, I'm pitting again. I'm getting rid of those 5-second penalties. Yeah, okay, it's going to drop me to, or I would have. This will be the last lap of the safety car. I would have pitted again, gone to the back, and got rid of those penalties because they're not going to be racing anybody, and that's ultimately why we play this game. For racing, whether we win or not, we just want good racing, and so I would have pitted for them. Lewis has got 9 seconds of penalties, and Jiggle Fingers has got 6 in the points. So I think we're going to see this is going to lead to a lot of aggressive situations. The likes of Lewis and Jigglefingers are going to have to make moves, otherwise they will lose their positions in the top 10, allowing the likes of Chappie Cho and Tommy up the ranks who don't have any penalties.
Yeah, I mean, and we're only 5 laps away, 6 laps technically, away from the finish. So with these penalties incurred, we will need to wait and see how this will fare. I think that King's Copper, for him, it's a perfect situation for him because he had to save fuel. He had to save fuel, and the safety car had just came up at the right place, right time for him.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's obviously also now got the he's got that advantage of no penalty on CDM, but there is that car in between them in Facebook, but CDM can use that to his advantage because King's Coppet cannot do anything until the line.
Yeah.
So let's see when the CDM relaunch. He's leaving it right to the last second. I ain't going now if I was him.
Yeah.
But he hasn't. He's doing a port now. He's leaving it right to the last second, and he's gone.
And he's gone now.
Brilliant there. 1.3 seconds already back for CDM, and King's Coppet is nowhere. He's going to have to smash his ERS to try and catch up. We've got Andre right on the back of King's Coppet. Andre running wide through turn 2 and 3, and we've got a yellow flag. Purgy has retired from the session. We've got Retros on the outside of Andre. Is he going to make this move?
Yeah,
Stick Andre
he's very close, but
wow.
yeah, that's some
Hard,
racing.
clean racing there. That was some hard, good, clean, hard racing there. Now, interestingly enough, CDM is already on the podium. He's already gained a 3-second lead over 4th place. So, as it stands right now, King's Coppet will take first. Andre would be third. CDM is putting his foot down and he is going for it all gun ho.
Yeah.
Basic Bot still hasn't taken off, and King's Coppet cannot get close to him. They are both, all of them are smashing their ERS. CDM already down to 36%, but he has got it all today for this race win, and I know he wants this race win. CDM is.
I think CDM is one of his tactics is that after a safety car he literally smashes the ERS. I think yesterday I raced against him I mean he was my teammate, and he literally flown off, and then at the last laps, because I used to literally save the ERS, I literally got back to him at the last lap.
Do you know something? CDM, I know what his tactic is because he told me. He smashes his ERS, and then he races like he has none left.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't. Like, he will smash his ERS in the first few laps because that's how he races. He gets the air and then he goes for it. And, well, he's already done it. He's got 2.7 seconds over King's Coppet. We've got Reese and Andre, but Andre's lost it. Andre's lost it. I don't know how or what's happened, but Andre is going very slow. And he's getting passed by everybody. Nigel and Jigglefingers have passed him. There's got to have been an incident. I'm looking at Andre's front wing to see if there's damage. He's got no front wing damage, but he's losing places like anything. I don't understand this right now. Now we've got Lewis and Anxious Soul getting past it. Oh, I thought there was going to be contact there between Lewis and Anxious Soul, but there wasn't. CDM just a tenth away from victory. Wow. And Nigel needs to get his foot down. Right now, Nigel, who is in 4th, is actually in 9th.
Ooh.
Andre is losing a lot of time though. Andre has lost over 5 seconds this lap, and I don't know what's happened to him, but something has happened to Andre.
I was noticing Reese Ross making the overtake, and as soon as I got to the POV of Reese Ross, Andre just literally vanished from the map.
I don't know what's happened there. Let's see. I doubt he's going to be pitting. No, he's not pitting, so...
No, and there's a safe...
Another... Ouch. This is going to be... How?
I think this is going to be a drag race, and whoever has a penalty right now... Whoever has a penalty right now, and I think the game is glitching to be fair as well, because I'm seeing King's Copper in P12 and CDM in P11.
Yeah, it has glitched. Yeah,
This is gonna be a drag race. This is gonna be a complete drag race because the safety car will only do one lap.
I think it might do two. It has the potential to come out on lap 24 and go in at the start of lap 26.
Yeah. So I think it would be only this lap. It would be only this lap and only 2 laps without any DRS. So this is gonna be a literal drag race.
I hope so. I really hope so.
And if I was
but again,
CDM
does have that buffer with Facebook, but he's got that buffer with Facebook, but who is the overlap between King's Coppet and himself. So if he can get that lead out again, let's just see what happens. Let's see if it's going in this lap. Right now we are on lap 25. So yeah, it is going to be. This should be a 1 lap safety car. Reese Ross has received a 3-second.
I think you were on board with a lapped car. Maybe that's why you saw lap 24.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, this should be a 1 lap safety car. I can't actually believe this has happened.
In the meantime, King's Copper also has got a penalty.
5 seconds, but that is going to be for Reese Ross had a collision with him. So that is going to be down to the stewards. Yeah. Ooh! And there was nearly another one now sitting on board with King's Coppet. Him and CDM nearly made contact. CDM was swerving to warm his tyres up. Obviously a completely legal move, so CDM, I'm hoping doesn't think, oh yes, this is in the bag now, I've got a 2 seconds less penalty. I think any racing driver on this game, when you've seen a driver behind you on a 5 second penalty, you know it's for a collision that could be removed. So yeah, have to be aware of that, and CDM will not be taking that lightly. He's going to still want to gain those 3 seconds. Because there's no doubt in his mind that a 5 second penalty under safety car will be. Oh, he really is doing a Bottas there and backing him up.
I think CDM needs to maintain the pace because I think he has slowed down a little bit too much. I hope it's not a real inconvenience there, but I think it's just enough.
He's gone.
In fact,
and he's gone.
Yeah.
King's Coppet does not get a good exit out of the last turn, and already CDM have half of the advantage he needs.
We have Sector 3 incident already.
Yep.
I think that's Lewis
Jimenez?
or Purgy.
No, it's going to be F1 Immortal.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's an Alpine. It's going to be Lewis.
It's got to be Lewis. Yeah, of course it's Lewis. Yeah, because Facebook is 2 minutes 35 seconds away from Lewis, so it should be Lewis.
Reese Ross is really putting the pressure on King's Coppet as well. Just two tenths of a second between the two drivers.
And in the meantime, CDM
is screaming ahead. And not a single driver without penalties now. Now, obviously, some of these could be removable as the 5 seconds in particular, but CDM is smashing it. He's got 1 lap and he needs to gain 3 tenths of a second now. Has he got it in him? He's got the fresher softs, and forgive me for saying this, he's got Division 1 pace. I think he's got this in the bag, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think the big drivers that are going to be affected are going to be Nigel and Jigglefingers. They're going to fall out the points. The likes of Chappie Cho. Chappie Cho is going to get points in this race, without a doubt. He's only got... Well, he's got
Chappie Cho has 10
no, he's
seconds.
Not. He has,
unless he had a collision with during the safety car, maybe 2 collisions, which were not his fault, and that would get his penalty removed.
I think I feel sorry for you admins and stewards after this race. I think you have a couple of incidences to deal with, all safety car bound.
Yeah.
So let's see. But
each and every driver has a penalty, Pete, so I would expect some people to request some removals after the race.
But CDM and King's Coppet, we've got to stay on board with this battle because it's 3.1 seconds. It's so close. Who could potentially take this win? Because let's face it, I think we know that King's Coppet will be challenging that 5 second penalty.
Oh,
Unicorn
Unicorn Power has out. Oh, and he was P11.
He was.
Oh, he could have gone into the points.
He was going to get points. He was going to get points. He only had 3 seconds of penalties. But this lead between CDM and King's Coppet, oh my god, CDM is going to have to push like he hasn't before. There was a tenth of a second that separates him from victory or losing it. Now we've also got I think that is an Alpine, yeah, that must be Lewis again.
I can note that King's Copper and CDM already used all their ERS, so it's literally a drag race. Literally a drag race.
Like you said, it is a drag race. Yeah, exactly. Wow. So it's anywhere between 2.9 and 3.2. But I think CDM has done enough if he doesn't fuck up these corners.
Yeah, let's see. CDM finishing the last couple of corners with 3.4 seconds to spare.
3.3. 3.4. Yeah. I think he's done it. He has done it. He has done it. CDM takes the win.
Rightfully, he takes the win. Yeah.
There are a lot of penalties there, but there is no one within 5 seconds of CDM, which is crucial. And I think it's fair to say we can declare CDM the winner, unless I didn't see him involved in any incidents during the race. But provisionally, CDM takes his maiden victory in Division 2 for Delta Pace Racing.
I would presume that it would be the first and the only win for him, because I would 100% assume that Andre will tell him to take the full-time Haas in the Division 1. For sure.
Agreed. I would agree in that. He's just driven the Haas to victory in Tier 1, in Tier 2, in the Delta Pace Racing League. He finished in the points in Tier 1 yesterday. I think it's fair to say, come next week, we're going to be seeing CDM racing on Monday nights here in the Delta Pace Racing League.
100%. If that was 99%, now it's full 100%.
100, yeah.
Nevertheless, well done to CDM.
As a good friend, he's a good friend of mine, CDM. I've known him for best part of a year now, my entire online racing career. I met him. He was one of the first drivers that I became friends with, and it's great to see him on that top step of the podium. And for my favourite team, it couldn't be a better weekend, unless that was me on the top spot in my favourite team.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, CDM has improved drastically during the last months as well, so
yeah,
well done to him as well.
Well done, CDM.
And also he has the fastest lap, so...
Yeah, so 26 points there for the Haas team, but I think we can look at these results. Let's see what they actually end up as once yourself and the admins, the stewards have reviewed all the incidents, but provisionally, I think CDM we can confirm as being first, King's Copper in second, Ryan Cowart in third, Reese Ross in fourth, Tommy in fifth, Andre in McLaren in sixth, Anxious Soul in the Red Bull in seventh, gaining 12 places, Nigel in the Haas in eighth, Chappie Cho in ninth, Jiggle Fingers in 10th, Lewis in 11th, Unicorn Wi-Fi Power in 12th, and F1 Immortal in 13th. So, just on a personal note, Chris, I want to say thank you once again for having me alongside you. It's always a pleasure doing comms with you, so thank you.
I would only reciprocate this, Pete. I can't stress this enough. It's a very, very enjoyable experience doing comms with you. In particular, given that you have a lot of eye for detail in certain things. So again, it's a blast doing comms with you as well.
Thank you, Chris. And hopefully I have just started a new job, so hopefully we'll get a chance some days. I'm not going to be working 5 nights a week now, which is good. But hopefully, whenever I'm available, I'll let you know. And always great to take the mic with you, mate. So thank you for having me once again.
Perfect, Pete. Perfect. So again, I once again thank you for being alongside me and for doing comms with me, and I hope that for everyone who has watched the stream enjoyed the race as much as we did. In the meantime, we will see you for race 7, which is gonna be held during the next week for Division 1, Division 2 and Division 3 Delta Pace Racing, which is gonna be held in Bahrain. In the meantime, guys, I can only wish you the best for the rest of this week, and stay tuned, guys.
Thanks so much again, everyone. It's been a pleasure. Talk soon, take care, and see you all soon.